All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Talk at 8, episode number 61. So we've been around the block a few times. We've run up and down the street a few times. We swam a little bit. We've cycled a bit. Talk at 8 is a show where we focus on a range of different codes of sport and how sport has shaped people's lives. My job is essentially to connect all these people across the platform and showcase how sport has influenced their lives, and more importantly, how it can inspire you to participate in sport. My name's Elton. Welcome. You are more than welcome to ask questions, comments in the chat, whether you joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Join the conversation. We've got Leanne, we've got David, we've got Howard, and we got Maxwell. And each one of them will tell a little bit about them, and then we'll delve into some serious stuff that comes out of the conversation. As always, we start with ladies. Leanne, good evening. How are you?
How's that? I'm well, thanks, and yourself?
Good, thank you. Good. You want to tell us a little bit about you, who you are, where you come from, what sport are you involved in?
Okay. My name's Leanne. I'm a type 1 diabetic endurance athlete. Unlike Howard, I haven't done the Robben Eiland crossing 200 times. I've only done it once, quite by accident. A friend of mine took me for a swim at the canals, and I had a panic attack and decided, no, that was too scary. So he convinced me that would be a good idea to go swim at Camps Bay Tidal Pool. And somehow that turned into a joke about doing the Robben Eiland crossing.
Yeah.
And I'm a yoga teacher and Pilates instructor for Virgin Active, and they thought it was a great idea to send me across for this crossing with a bunch of cameras, make a little short film about it.
Yeah.
Did that, decided I would like to try my hand at cycling. Bought a bike. It was the year that the Cape Town Cycle Tour was in October. Somehow, by the time I got to I learned to ride a bike. Let's just start with that. Somehow, by the time I was at the start line of the Cape Town Cycle Tour, I was signed up for Old Mutual Wealth Double Century, which is a 202-kilometer cycle tour, which that year didn't happen. We got to the start line and it rained out, so they canceled the race. And the guy I was seeing at the time, he convinced me it would be a great idea to do a half Ironman. Keep in mind, I have rheumatoid arthritis in both my ankles, and I was told I would never walk without pain.
Sure.
So I somehow learned to run. Did my first, once again, Virgin Active sent me to do my first 70.3 Ironman at Nelson Mandela Bay, which was 2 years ago. This year, instead of doing my third half, I did at Nelson Mandela Bay, I did my first full, which, why not? I have not run Comrades yet. I'm not a Comrades finisher. I know it said that in the write-up, but not yet.
Yeah, my error.
I'll do Comrades when it's its 100th year in 2027. But for now, I'm going to do the second full Ironman at the 20 years of Ironman in South Africa next year. Next year, I'll go to race. So that's me.
Well done. I mean, you've taken us basically on your sporting journey over time with your arthritis, and you're still alive to tell the tale. You're still able to even consider doing Ironman next year. And I know entries are opening or have opened. So the question is, have you entered?
Of course.
Wow.
Great.
Cool.
I'll see you there.
Awesome.
Right. So that's a little bit about Leanne. Ladies and gents, you're welcome to drop your comments. Mr. David, tell us a little bit about you, my good man. Hold on, David, you're on mute. Let me unmute you. David, you need to unmute yourself there. There we go. Tell us a little about you, David.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
I can hear you, David.
That'll be great. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, lady. Elton, hi. I've been running. My name is David. I've been running for, I don't remember how long, giving away my age, but since I grew up in a running family. So I used to go watch my uncles and my cousin run years ago. So I was very young, and somehow it stuck with me. I did my first marathon. I think I was even below the age at that time. I was 17 or 18, and I've never looked back. I've been given the ability, I suppose, by the man above to be able to run. but I absolutely running for me is, I've always thought to myself, why do I enjoy running? Well, basically, I started off, a little bit about, I don't know if I gave it all over the show, but I started off with doing a marathon very early, and the long distances are something which I really enjoy. I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy the sense of freedom that it gives me, but I think most importantly, in a nutshell, I think I enjoy having something to look forward to. People say, how can you get up between 3 and 4 in the morning sometimes to go and train for an event? I wouldn't have it any other way. So I think for me, running is a sense of freedom. It's a sense of enjoyment, the sense of something to look forward to. And I often say, and I never hide the fact that I think running is majority for a person's mental health. And I think what I enjoy about running the most is when life becomes challenging and life becomes difficult. You think, I did that ultra. I overcame that hill at 40 Ks of an ultra marathon. A work challenge or personal challenge should be easy enough to do because I did that. It gives me confidence in life. It gives me sort of a sense of purpose. I think I'll leave it at that for the meantime, Elton. So thank you.
Thanks, David. And you touched on an interesting point, which we'll unpack a little bit later about mental wellness and how sport impacts on that. Howard, congratulations on your 200th swim across from Robben Eiland to the mainland, as some people would say, to raise funds for SPCA. Tell us a little bit about your journey, Howard.
Hey, Elton, it's been fun, and the journey is definitely not over. This is just people ask me, you've done 200, what now? On the 10th, I celebrated my 35th wedding anniversary. How many people have asked me, you guys are together 35 years, what now? Well, we keep on doing what we enjoy doing. I'm listening to Leanne and to David, and I hear what these guys are all about. I think we're all freaks. I've been a runner, cyclist, triathlete for years. I love it. I love the challenges. I love the reward of finishing these things. So my journey started years ago. I loved half marathons, and I was traveling a lot and moving around a lot. So, but half marathons I could do. And then I'm slightly, or maybe not slightly, I'm pretty OCD, and I tend to chase numbers. So I thought to myself, you know what, if I could just run 50 half marathons, that would be a goal. And I carried on doing that. When I got to 350, I got bored. And then I was into my marathons, and I loved the marathons. But, with all the running, the knees start packing up, and I didn't do much cross training. But so I got into triathlon, so I cycled a lot too, but I enjoyed full marathons too. I took on a couple of comrades, and on my 6th comrade, I realized my body was finished. I can't do it. I'm not a long distance runner at all. But I've really enjoyed the variation of sport, and that was always great. So the body always had time to recover, and the fun element of different friends with different sports that we're doing. And it was always a chat and a laugh, and you talk your way through a marathon, and we've always loved that. And then I got to triathlons, and I was always doing the short ones. And a good couple of years ago, I got into half Ironman. I did my first half one. I thought, okay, the full one will be good. So I went and I did a couple of those, and I'm hoping to do my 9th full Ironman next year too. But the swimming was always a lot of fun, and it was always great. And I love the idea of just swimming out into the ocean in my surfing days too. And in 2015, I decided, heck, I love this open water thing. Let me go try this Robben Eiland thing. And I went and I tried it, and I pulled it off, but I almost ended up in hospital with hypothermia. I did everything wrong. And the whole community thought it was hilarious. We all took these chances because it was a group of us starting at Robben Eiland, and everyone just fought their way to the beach. And I went back a year later and I battled with it again. And then in 2017, I got it right. I think I just started developing more brain cells and started thinking for myself. And then after 2017, I never forget, I got it right. I was so excited. And I thought to myself, wow, imagine swimming across the English Channel. And I did that 9 months later. And then that was so much fun. I came back and really enjoyed the open water, and then decided to pick up my numbers again. And here I am now. I got to 100, 150, and 200, and still loving it. It's just an incredible journey. So having a lot of fun. I have 2 daughters that are married. I'm married to Elmarie, that's my skipper. So she controls me on the land and in the water. So I have my dog on the boat, and I'm just having such a good time. It's such a joy. I'm loving it.
Sure. Thanks, Howard. And I'll pick up 1 or 2 things on there. Let me just take a step back. Zita says, good evening, everybody. She says, I see you, David. Proud of you. Always so light and lovely on the road. So full of life. Always laughing with David. Zoleka Kiva says, congratulations on completing Comrades, David. You are an inspiration and making running look effortless. So we're going to get to some of these things now. Howard, I'm going to come back to you because I want to pick your brain, and I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to talk about the actual event. So park that idea. Let's just welcome Max. Max, tell us a little bit about you and your journey. You got an interesting story.
Good evening, everyone. So my name is Maxwell Nitzky. I live in Surrey Estate. I'm 37 years old, married to a wonderful woman, Marcy Nitzky. And I work for an organization called St. Luke's Combined Hospices that provides palliative care for people with life-threatening illnesses and ailments. So I wasn't always a runner. Okay, yes, I was always a runner, but I was running in all sorts of trouble and problems growing up as a youngster. So I actually have a testimony to tell. So which I'll just share a short story. So I was involved with gangsterism, drugs, in and out of prison for a good couple of years in my life, up until say 6 years ago. And when I finished my program, restoration program, and then I went to a club because my pastor was at this club, the Nantes Athletic Club, and I started running, doing like 10K races. That was just before COVID times. And then I just thought I found a liking in running, and running for me. Then and then I started doing half marathons, and then this was just incredible. It was like a new me, and I was like a total new creation. I had the inner peace and the joy, and no more problems and stress and that type of thing. Then I started getting greedy. I went from half marathons to full marathons. So until today, I did about 12 marathons this far. I did 4 50Ks. I did 2 ultras. I did and 2 comrades. So but running for me it is. It just brings joy to me, and it like a sigh of relief through everyone, even if you had a hard day at work or at home or wherever you go, and you run, it just gives you that inner peace, and listening to all of your different stories, the Ironman, and doing the Robben Eiland, you are out for the 200th time. So, it's just it gives me a drive, and it tells me, hey, you only doing that. Look at that. But you know what? Each one has his own or her own story, and it's just amazing. And it inspires me to hear all the different stories. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Thanks, Max. Thanks for sharing, because often we don't talk about the past, where we come from. We just talk about how things have shaped us. So thank you for being open to share that. Yeah, Innocentia, who was our guest last week, says, evening everyone. Welcome, David, on your first Comrades. I'm putting you on the spot and hoping you're going to do your back-to-back. Zita says, hello, Max. So very inspired by your story and all your achievements. So happy that you met Marcy too. You've done so well. Natasha Johanna says, thank you, Howard, for being a true inspiration. So let me flip the coin and let me go differently. So I want you now, within 2 to 3 minutes, explain what your event was like. So Max and David, what was Comrades like for you? It's not your first rodeo, Max. So what's it been like compared to the others? David, what's Comrades been like to your two oceans? Howard, what does the 200th mean for you? But also take us through, because most people don't understand the feeding system about feeding with a stick. People have no idea how this thing actually happens. You spoke about your wife being a skipper. No one even knows that you're forced to have, or not forced, you're compelled to have a boat next to you. So take us through the principle of that. And tell us a little bit. People don't understand about the transition. People just know there's an Ironman, there's 3 different disciplines. What's it like? They don't have a clue. So from that perspective, I'd like you all just to share a little bit about that, just to enlighten everybody around who's watching, get an insight into your different discipline and what it was like for you. Let's start with Max. You, Max, what was Comrades like for you?
Okay, so Comrades, yeah. Sure, Comrades, for me this year it was just totally something else. Nothing compared to last year. So it was my back-to-back this year, and last year was actually better prepared last year than this year. And the reason for that is because last year I had no injuries. This year it's just like everything was going wrong towards Comrades. So I discovered this year, and that is actually how I met. It was in February where I developed, or maybe just before February this year, before Peninsula, where I developed a sports injury called plantar fasciitis. It was under my left heel. And because of that was like excruciating. Even if I just walk or if I get up in the morning and that pain would come. And I thought, hey, why is this happening now? All of a sudden, before all this, the important races or the build up before Comrades. And it was actually because I was running in the wrong running shoe. And that's because I was told 2 years ago that I'm a neutral. I had retesting done, and only to find out that I'm actually stability. And then in February, I changed over from neutrals to stability. And then I started. My wife told me about Elton. Listen, you need to go, and I started going to some of Elton's sessions, and which it didn't take away my injury, but it helped me manage the injury better. So because of all of this, I wasn't that much prepared, but mentally I was. And as I said, last year was a bit easier than this year, and especially this year, the uprun. It's a force to reckon with. So it's nothing what I expected. It was, the hills were like really evil, and there wasn't that I want to do, like give up. So and this was before the halfway mark. Now normally they say in the ultra, after the marathon, your mind will start playing games with you. My mind started playing games with me at 30 k's already, and I thought, yay, no, man, you did it last year, So it's fine. You have one, or you can come back next year again. Don't worry, you made it till here. Things like that. And then I had like bind that thoughts and fill that with new thoughts. And listen, you got the support team here that came all day. They paid for their tickets, their flights, and things like that to come and support you. So how can you still now be thinking this? No, you have to go all the way. And that's when I started. I changed my strategy. I changed my thoughts, and I went for it. And but it was tough. It's a real force to reckon with. But I'm gonna do it again. So yeah, it was good, but really tough.
Thanks, Max. Your brother Nigel says so. He's very proud of you. That was his comment. Howard, take us through the swim. What's it like? I know that you said the first K or so you were feeling kind of out of sorts. Why and how did you kind of rectify that? And what's it like being in the water?
Yeah, it's so different or almost similar to doing all the other sport, except that you've got a vehicle or a boat that takes you to the island. So on your way to the island, you start. Personally, this is what I like to do. We do all our training and we get sorted out. We do cold water training, cold showers and the works, because it's the elements that you're dealing with, cold water and everything else. So what I would do is on my way to the island, we put the boat in the water, we make our way to the island, and as we start getting to the island, especially this time of the year when it's cold, you start taking jackets off and beanies off and start getting the cold air on your body. You get to the island and you hang around, you Vaseline up a bit, you put your cap on and get your goggles on, and then you jump off the boat and you swim about 50 meters or 50, 75 meters to the island so you can start on dry land. So you get onto the island, you stand there. That initial jumping off the boat, yeah, so that hurts. It doesn't get old. You never get used to it. It's you feel those millions.
But you're doing it in a speedo, not even a wetsuit.
Yeah. No, I'm hoping you guys will feel sorry for me and send me money to buy a wetsuit. Now I've got a lovely wetsuit that I use, that I keep for triathlons, but this is now a speedo. Yeah. So you jump off a perfectly good boat, you strip yourself into a little speedo, you jump in, you swim through, get to the island, and then you get yourself ready and make sure your watch is connected to the GPS or whatever, and then you put your hands up, and then the crew on the boat starts the watch, and then you start swimming. So you swim through the kelp, and normally, it's just going through the motion. It takes you a couple of seconds. It's cold, it's uncomfortable. So it's something you choose. It's like running. It's like David said, getting up early in the morning. That's what you choose to do. You're going to have to just bump your head a bit. You've got to feel it. You're going to get cold, but then you're going to find your rhythm, and then you're going to just let it go. So it's a decision you make. It's not something that just happens, because if you don't make that decision, you're just prolonging it, and before you know it, this is not for you type of thing. So anyway, so what happened here was on this specific swim, the 200 swim, the pressure of the 200 swim, and knowing who's on the beach and there's media on the boats and it's noisy, and my wife is just saying, just focus on me, focus on everything else and relax, and we'll get there. So my first kilometer, I just took strain. I couldn't find my rhythm. The cold was all right, 13, it went up to about 13.2. I think it touched 13.5 again, but that was okay. You can deal with it, but you just battle to find your rhythm. The first feed after half an hour, we used to use sticks, but now we just stop next to the boat. The rule is not to touch the boat. They hand you your bottle, you have a quick sip, 10 seconds later, you're on your way again. But then the rhythm, you've got to find yourself, the currents start pulling in all directions. So you follow the boat. The boat takes you in the direction that it feels you should go, even though you feel you know where you're going, but you don't. However, so you get through that. Believe me, after a while, no matter how you feel, the water gets colder because we get deeper sections, and there's a million things screaming through your mind. There's so many reasons to get back on the boat, so you just got to find that one reason to keep you in the water. But obviously, now you've got people on the beach and your family, your loved ones and friends, and yes, so you just persevere, put your head down and get through it. And when you emerge on the other side and your feet touch the stand, and it feels so good, walking out into the out of the water onto the beach and stopping your watch and looking back. It's an amazing feeling. Yes, so the accomplishment is what one looks for, but at the same time, it's just putting yourself through the challenges, and I think that's what we're all drawn to and attracted to.
Absolutely. Zita says your story is inspiration. The fact that you've done so many different sports is phenomenal. She also says to Leanne, phenomenal variety in sport. Well done. David, tell us a little bit about what was Comrades like for you, being your maiden voice.
So I'm using the mic. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. The Comrades for me. So Elton, I was scared of Comrades. It was probably the first time. I don't know when before. You get very windgat, so to speak. You line up before a marathon, and it's like just another run. Even Oceans Ultra, but I literally was terrified before Comrades. I had done the training for months and months and months before, even a year before I had consciously made the decision to do Comrades. And I think it was Howard that said so. The most difficult part, and I think advice I can give to anybody entering something challenging or something, is enter and make that conscious decision to enter. Somebody asks you, not maybe should I enter, and make the decision. You're going to enter. There's no turning back. You're going to do it. I think half your battle is then won. And Elton, it was definitely a godsend, and there's no doubt. In the middle of Durban, in a dark street corner, who did I bump into? Elton David. And you told me exactly what I needed to hear, and that is most definitely a sign from God. And I will never forget in my entire life what you told me. You said to me, David, you've done the training, and you went, now it's about this, and it's about that. And it's something that really did help me. Because at 60 Ks, when people were broken, I was going, guys, it's about this, and it's about this. I was inspiring them. I think when I stood on the sort of once I got into that pen, that was fine. I was relaxed. I was enjoying myself. I can honestly tell you that it was one of the best, if not the best, experience of my life. Anybody that's never plans to do Comrades that's a runner, or anybody that feels that they want to do an ultra should do it once. It's the most incredible experience. You cannot experience it on TV. You have to be a support on the road, or best of all, you need to be a runner. There is something magical from the start line to the finish line, and in fact, 3 weeks later, it's still magical. Elton, I'll never forget, I was seeing people post 2-3 weeks later stuff on their WhatsApp statuses, on their about Comrades, and I'm doing the same thing. That it's something that I cannot describe. But I think for the first time in all my years of running, I think it was Howard said, initially in 10Ks I felt my shoe selection is wrong, this is wrong, and you get out of Durban, around the corner, and you start climbing a hill. And these aren't hills, these are Mammoth Mountain, unnamed hills. So it's just, in any other race or any other event, as I like to call it, this would be a major hill, but it's an unnamed hill. But somehow your spirit takes over. You're led by sort of a force greater than yourself, and I think it's the first time in my life I felt a disconnection between my mind and my body. We're floating. I must tell you, I was also very lucky that it was definitely a lot of God moments in this race. I started with you. There were two people. What I wanted to tell you about Comrades, Elton, is that if I sit back here now, I still don't. It's very surreal that I ran close to 90 kilometers. I still hasn't quite sunk in. It was an incredible experience. I think what's incredibly amazing, experiencing the journey with people that are special and dear to your heart. I did it with people that are very special to me. My dear friend Sadeka, my dear friend Colin. And after I bumped into you, within 5Ks, I bumped into Sadeka and we ran like 60 Ks together, which was an absolute fantastic to be able to do that. And then my friend Colin for the last 5K. But it was very special. When I came at the end, I said to a lady by the name of Rushta, that's a dicker sister, I'm not going to be running this again. It was too much. On the drive home to Pietermaritzburg, I was wondering when Durban is going to be next year because I want to come back for my back-to-back.
There we go.
What brings us back every year, I don't know. There must be a psychology. I think it's the challenge. But we all, I don't know, something said, we're definitely not normal. We definitely get up at 3 a.m. and go run 30 or 40 kilometers is not normality, but it's something that I love, and I'll continue to do it as I do it. And I think one of the most important things, as I mentioned before, is sharing the journey with very special people. I love seeing people able to cross that finish line, and I think also what I think is very special is be able to do it year in and year out. What brings me back, I don't think I will ever know. And I think it's something that that I really enjoy doing. And I think as importantly as the running, I enjoy doing it with people who have that common goal and something to look forward to. Comrades was a great experience. And
David, so two of the people that you run with, Isa says you're an inspiration. Well done on finishing. Ismail Abram says, well done. Rochelle says, what did you do differently in 2025? And we'll get to that in a minute. Leanne, from your perspective,
thank you.
triathlon is not something to sneeze at for a start, and yet to do a full triathlon, a full Ironman is a challenge. Because why would you want to put yourself through a 3.8 kilometer swim, a 180k bike, and a marathon? Did you fall on your head? I mean, like, why would you do something like that?
To be honest, just seemed like a good idea. Stop. No, I did a few 70.3s, and last year I got COVID at Blue Lagoon, which was just short of about 3 weeks before Ironman, the 70.3. And I tested negative 3 days before doing the 70.3, and I was still able to complete it. Granted, I had a slower time, something like 6 hours 30, which is quite slow for a half. And I kind of figured, well, if I could do that 3 days after COVID, it's probably not hard enough.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I do like to test my limits and see how hard I can push, how far I can go. You know, I think it was Howard that said it earlier. You know, sometimes life just sucks and it gets really hard. And it's nice to, having done something that seems absolutely insane, kind of gives you that, like, you know, that little bit of mental clarity that if I could do this, the rest, it doesn't matter. You know, I like to have discipline, and I like the consistency of training for Ironman. You know, we train twice a day. Usually it's like swim and strength, bike and swim, run track, swim, or run track, strength. You know, basically that every single day. Weekends we do longer training sessions and generally single sessions. And I kind of like the consistency of it. You know, I'd reached a point in my career where, well, as a yogi, I was kind of like, I can do quite a lot of it. I want to do something where I'm a complete beginner, which is always, it's interesting to be in like the back of the pack, you know. And when I changed coaches, I joined Mavericks Athletic last year at the end of the year with like 3 months to go. And it's interesting to see when you work with a coach that kind of listens to you, you know, and works with you. It's there's something about seeing like massive improvement in all three disciplines, you know, and about the actual race itself, it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. I've heard from people who've done PE a few times, they were like, that was the worst conditions they've ever done it in. The swim had a bunch of swell.
Yeah.
The bike was windy as hell. And then on the marathon, and it's a full marathon, 42.2K. It's not one of those 10K marathons I've heard people talk about. Thing. But on the marathon, there was like thunder and lightning. And as I crossed the finish line, it poured down on me. But I remember feeling like during the thing, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. 20 Ks into the run, I was done. Every time I ran past my hotel, I was like, that's it. I'm going in. And my coaches on the side with Mavericks tent, and they were like, Leanne, you will finish this race if we sit here all night. And I remember this feeling of almost being purified down to my bone marrow. I'm stealing the words from Erica to Blanche. She's also an endurance runner. She's one of my students. She gave me her run book, and she talks about doing these like ultra runs in the desert. And in one line there, she's talking about some run in Egypt, like through the desert in like 40, 50 degrees. And she's like, there's this line that goes, I was purified down to my bone marrow. And that's the best way I can explain my Ironman experience. Like everything hurt. I wasn't even like running to the next lamppost. I was just going, okay, walk until you can run, and then run until you have to walk. Like my shoulder, when I finished the race, I'll put it this way. When I finished the race, I couldn't even climb out of my tri-suit. I just went back to my hotel and I climbed in the bath with my tri-suit on, like my shoulders from that swim, and then sitting in the TT position, fighting the wind for so long. I just climbed into the bath with my tri-suit and I was like, okay, well, I live here now.
And well, what was it like with the laps? Because often we lose focus and we lose that. If I look at David and I look at Max, there was a 1 lap event. Max Howard's was a kilometer, but it was almost a straight line. Yours was laps. What was the difference in your head to keep you going?
Which part? So for us, the swim is a loop. Where the full guy starts. So next year will just be the full. They're not having a half. But for us on the swim, like in the beginning, it's like a marsh pit to swim in.
Yep.
And then it sort of clears out. I much prefer the Robben Eiland crossing because it's just you, your partner, and a boat. Triathlon, it's like you and a million other swimmers, and you're either swimming over someone or someone's swimming over you.
The washing machine. It's called the washing machine.
It's a mosh pit. But like we started off and then like it clears out, and I ended up swimming along with this other guy who also had the orange I Will Become One swim cap. So it's also his first. Like it cleared out and it's very swelly. And every time we get to a buoy, we're like, okay, we're turning, and we look up and we just like, as the wave comes, we kind of come up and we're like, oh, there's another one. And that went on for what felt like forever. And then eventually we get to turn around, and now we're swimming back towards T1. And, at this point, there's like 3 of us kind of, we can spot each other. We're close enough to see each other, but we have our own space to swim. And then we hit the 70.3 guys, and next thing we're back in that mosh pit. And then the bike it's my favorite discipline at the moment. It was interesting because with the 70.3, there's so many athletes. Like the rule in triathlon is you can't draft. It's 12 meters between you and the next bike, and I think you've got something stupid like 20 seconds to make the overtake. But obviously with the half and the full, there's just too many bikes on the road. They can't enforce that rule. So like we could hide from the wind amongst the 70.3s, and then second loop we go out and there's no more 70.3s. It's just us doing the full. Now keep in mind, I think there was only like 800 full Ironman athletes this year.
Yeah. So
now it's like you facing the wind. And you're like, there's no hiding from it. And I think, when I'm on the swim, I just want to get to the bike. And when I'm cycling, I just want to get to the run. The bike was quite interesting because like I said, I've had some massive improvements since training with my current coach. And And then the run happened. And I remember like before, I'm an Essex front runner, so I got a pair of Magic Speed 3 and we've just gotten the Nimbus 26s. And I was really excited about my Magic Speed, right? I love carbon plated shoes. And I remember a few people were like, no, Leanne, wear your Nimbus. It's like, no, but I'm going to race. They're like, you're not going to race. You're going to walk. That is a debate up until like packing my T2 bag, which we drop off on the day before the race. So we drop our bikes in T1 and then our transition bags in T1 and T2 the day before the race, for those who don't know. And I remember like putting one pair of shoes in, taking it out, swapping it around, and eventually a friend of mine, Wayne Rousseau, he messaged me. He's like, Leanne, don't you dare put those carbon shoes in your bag. Wear your Nimbus. You're going to walk. And those loops are brutal because it's the front part where all the supporters are is great. But then as the 70.3 starts, them and their supporters go home.
Yeah.
And then there's like less support on the road. But now, so Ironman added the 2 hills again this year. And on the hills, there's less and less support. I did a 13-hour 44 Ironman, so it was quite a long day out.
Well done.
And every time I went up the side, there's like less people, and now it's getting darker and it's getting scarier. And we're running past the pub that I've heard people have been mugged at the year before and the year before, you know. And I'm going like, what if someone like takes my Garmin or my Science and Sport gels? Because that's literally all I've got on me, you know. I think that running the loops on the marathon is the hardest because it just gets darker and people will start seeing like this. You're running past the same people as you go through the little strip where all the supporters are, and they're like, you're going through something spiritual, and you're just like, I'm dead. I have nothing to say. You know, and people come as I go past them. They're like, I follow you on Instagram, Leanne, and I'm like, oh no, don't see me like this. I'm dying. This is very embarrassing right now, you know.
And one of your followers says you're very inspirational. Keshi Mohammed says you're very inspirational. She also says that who said runners are normal? All runners are crazy. We're a special breed. Well done to everybody and your achievements. Rehana says David is such a dedicated and committed runner. He gives running his all. He goes out and gives what he's got. He's really trained consistently. He's phenomenal. Well done, David. You deserve the medal. And I hope you'll be back next year. She also says, great guests. You're all inspirational. And well done to Max. So my question to all of you is, in 3 sentences, I'm going to limit you. Why do you do this endurance stuff? Let me put it plain and simple. Give me a very concise answer as to why you do this crazy stuff. Let's start with David, Howard, Max, and then we'll come to Leanne. Start with you, David. Why do you do this crazy stuff? This ultra stuff.
Let me just.
David, you muted yourself again. Let me unmute you. David? Yeah, go. 3 or 4 sentences.
Okay. When life gets tough, you know you've overcome the physical challenges. Anything else can be overcome and easy. I forgot. I went blank now. Number 2, mental health. Number 3, a sense of purpose and consistency in your life. And number 4, the camaraderie. And I've made some really damn good friends over the years that I can consider my family.
Howard, from your perspective, why do you do these crazy things?
I don't know. It's as David also says, it's a lifestyle. This is what we do. This is why we challenge ourselves. We enjoy the journey. We enjoy the reward of achievement, and we have a friendship. And you know, other people sit in pubs, and other people go for a run with their friends and have as much or more fun. So yes, that's number one. Number two, I would say is the lifestyle does add value, obviously, because it just gives you feel good about yourself, the endorphins and all the chemicals and the good things. And number three, what's most important is you can talk a lot about anything, because we love to talk about sport. For anyone watching this, if you don't know this, this is why we do it. We all have stories. We can talk forever. People that are with us and haven't done these things don't understand what we're talking about. So we develop personalities. I'm still busy developing mine.
Depends on which sport you will determine which personality you pull out. You say,
Absolutely.
Max, from your perspective, why are you doing this? Why are you still running?
Okay, so from my side, so I would say number one, the funny thing is that we don't get paid to do this. We pay to do this, to put our bodies, to beat our bodies through into submission and go through all the pain, the suffering. Number two, it's an addiction, but it's a good addiction, because you're going through the pain and through the suffering, but you feel good. You feel good, feel positive once that challenge is not even complete. Number three, to all the viewers, the listeners, you will only know once you start. Once you make a start, on this journey. So it's exciting. It's life changing. It's actually life changing, and it's encouraging, and so much more. So that's why I said I will do it over and over. I will get tired, but I won't get tired of doing it. I will continue. So yeah.
Thanks, Max. Leanne, why are you doing all these events?
Because why not?
Good answer.
Movement is the most underrated form of medicine, physical and mental, right? We were made to move. So if you look at the statistics of people who don't, like people who do 500 steps a day, I'm like, what is that? Like our bodies were made to move. Movement is celebration, right?
Yep.
So why not do the crazy things? Why not do the things that, we tell ourselves are impossible? Based on my background, I shouldn't be alive. I should have died a very long time ago. And if I mentioned, I'm a recovered heroin addict as well, with 14 years of sobriety. But my parents didn't think I was going to live past 20. And I'm here, so why not do all the things that are kind of fun and a little bit wild? And I don't drink, so why not ride my bike?
And people don't understand the magnitude of life and how it has changed us to move us into a direction of sport, as an example. We all have stories. As Howard said, whether it's a positive story or a negative story, we have a story of sorts that has propelled us into sport, number one. Number two, and has propelled us into a space where we want to continue doing sport because of what it's done, as in Max's case, as in your case, Leanne, as an ex-heroine, David, from your case, from a mental health perspective, Howard, because you enjoy it and because you have your wife next to you. So why not? So my next question is, how do we overcome those challenges that we face how do we relate, David, and you touched on it earlier, how do we relate an event, a challenge, to a real life experience? How do we overcome those kinds of challenges? Any one of you can go first. It's a bit of a tricky question, but let's see.
Actually, okay, I'll give it a go. I know we are talking about personalities and that type of thing. I think what it can do for one is it can take you out of a place where you might find despair or you might find insecurity. And any place, I wouldn't say dark place, but a place that you're not comfortable in with yourself. And by doing these things, you start discovering more and more of yourself. You realize your ability. And I think that is what's so wow about what we love to do, is that the more we do, okay, you don't have to go a bit crazy and do stupid everything, but just go and do what you do, enjoy it. And then you realize as you're doing these things, I'm okay. People call it sport. We call it lifestyle. This is what we do. This is what drives us. Everyone gets ready to go somewhere. We first have to get in a run. We first have to get in this. We freak people out with our obsessions and everything, but this is what defines us. So if I look at my life and I look at the sport I've been doing, this completes me. It does. It makes me a better husband, better father, or at least a try. And this is just my little thing that works for me. So that's my opinion.
And I agree with you. If I look at the comments and if I look at Reghana Kasim, who's a cancer survivor who's been on the show, says sport is medicine. It's therapeutic for athletes and for family. And sport has helped her regain part of what she's lost through cancer to a degree. Amanda says, I'm inspired by all your stories. Well done. And even for someone like Amanda, who I know, she doesn't have to consider doing Comrades. Just by going out and going for a 5K walk every day or doing something active. We don't have to everybody be crazy and want to run a back-to-back or want to swim Robben Eiland to Cape Town. But just being active is what you're saying, Howard. And what do
Absolutely.
you guys think, the rest of you? Anyone? Leanne, what's your view?
Can you ask the question again, please?
The question is, what has changed in you, and how do you cope an event challenge, bring it into a real life environment? So if, as an example, how did you said earlier in your laps, you had a mental block and a mental challenge to keep going. Have you taken some of that into a real life scenario where it works for you? Or vice versa?
I mean, it shows us we can do hard things. You know, that things aren't as important as we really think they are. We get so stuck sometimes in the small stuff. So offended by very bizarre and pathetic things. And we realize, like, when you do something, in my experience anyway, when I do something insane, like a full Ironman, like something that's, you know, takes pretty much every fiber of my being to complete, and my mind just sort of says, no, I'm not doing this, but my body keeps going. Like, I'm reminded when I show up to work and I'm dealing with someone difficult, I'm like, you know what, this is okay. You know, or when things feel a little bit uncertain, it's like, you know what, just need to show up. The rest is out of my hands. You know,
yeah,
there's nothing more.
So let me change it differently. Let me ask the question differently. Let me chuck it at Max. Max, you've come out of a life of gangsterism and crime, and now you're coming into a sporting environment. Coming out of that environment and coming to Comrades and having a challenge. That experience of the past, does that propel you to go forward, or does it hold you back?
No, that actually it propels me to go forward, and but to go forward, obviously with the good. So I know, because I know where I come from, my background. Comrades has changed my mindset. Not only Comrades, I'm running a marathon, whether it's a marathon, a 10K, a 21, it changed my perspective of life. So I see life differently. My heart goes out to those that are still bound those that are still on the street, those that are like especially like when we do our 4:30 a.m. runs, and I get up at 3:30, and we start at the Athlone police station, and I run past the Red Cross that is directly opposite the bus stop that I used to sleep in. A time in my life there was times that I stayed in that bus stop, I slept, and to run past, to run past there, it brings a tear to my eye. And sometimes the tear is not there, but inside I feel, and I said, it's like I asked God, why didn't it happen that time? But I know that it wasn't the appointed time for me, because God had a plan, and I had to go with God's plan, not my plan, because our plan it fails, but God's plan it stands. So but I'll never. One thing I know, I'll never go back. The past I will always use as my stepping stone. People, I'll often get people, and people will tell me, you must stop talking about your past because your past is in the past. But you see, they don't live my story, and they don't understand. It's I've learned so much from the past that I have to speak about it so that others can be set free. Because it's not, at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about making a difference in someone else's life, because there's a generation out there that is perishing and dying that God wants to save. So that's why I love to say, I love to share my story, because there are so much of those that have even bigger stories than mine. But running has changed my mindset, my way of thinking, and my way of doing things so much.
And Riaz raises an interesting question. He says, let's take sport to prisons. Did you know that some prisons abroad have parkruns? Why can't we go to prisons and record this when he appears before the parole board to get a reduction? Riaz, there are programs currently in prisons for prisoners and for wardens. So it is happening in South Africa, just not at in a public space that people know about. But yes, we can have that conversation offline. He also raises the comment about that we need to do more for other NGOs like organ donor and blood transfusion through events. So Max has Howard has raised a fair, I think it's 160,000 rand just this last week for as part of his swim for SPCA. So in closing, I'm going to ask each of you to round up and say, like, Max, how has that impacted you, and why would you recommend someone else to take Riyad's example to do something for an NGO as a charitable component? And in your case, why would people combine yoga with sport, and is it a lifestyle to carry on? Max, from your perspective, how do we manage to get more people active into sport who come from a bad background? What are some of the tricks that you've learned? David, from your perspective, maybe in closing, talk about the mental health and how it's helped you to continue doing what you do. Okay, so any one of you can start, and that's your parting comments for tonight, because we're coming to the end of the show.
Okay, I would start. So how I would they are like I said, for me it was I had to find that passion. I seek for it, and I found a liking in it. But there are those that are so it's not only about running. So it's about like stopping, and having a conversation with those that and there's a lot maybe that basically that know me, that I will run past, and they know the life I used to live. So I will for me it's not about like moving forward. So I have to stop, have a conversation, and tell them, listen, this is what worked for me, and I believe this is what worked for you. But the individual or the person must want to must want to change, and must want a different outcome in life itself. Because if you gonna just do the same thing over and over, you're not gonna get a different result. So you have to do different things. You have to get out of that dark side, or that, yeah, the dark side where you are actually currently in. So but it's about also sharing with them, and not only passing them, running past, and yeah, that is it. Because they don't know, they must hear this, how can I say, the story. They must hear the and they must see the difference. So they must see they will see the fruits, and but you have to share with them. But it's doable for them as well.
Absolutely. But look at you, definitely doable. David, from your perspective, David, mental health and running?
Middle up. What I wanted to say to you is, our comrades, a 5K for somebody may be their comrades. A 10K may be somebody's Ironman. So for me, when I always tell people, they say to me, whatever, they're feeling down, they're feeling crappy, they just want to lie in bed and stay all day. I'll say, walk outside, go for a walk, go for a run, get out there. Initially becomes difficult to go, but soon it becomes more difficult not to go. To take that first step, and as Max said, to want to do it. That's in my experience when times have been tough, when I've been feeling sad and low and depressed, getting out there. Now I want to go. I will get upset, Elton, if I don't go. So you've got to take that first step, get into the routine, make it a lifestyle. Your endorphins are going to flow. You're going to have something to look forward to. And I talk from personal experience, and it's something I would encourage people. Get out there. Anybody suffering from any type of mental health or low moods, make it part of your routine. Enter an event. Get out there with friends. You will be able to overcome anything really.
Thank you, David. Howard, from your perspective, doing your event for linking it to SPCA and other charities?
I love doing things for charities, and we use the word charity so easily because it's just it's something you do for someone. But when you link to something that you become emotionally attached to, that changes everything, because you're suffering. As we do, well, I do. I don't know about the rest of you. I don't think David and Max suffers, and Leanne too. But I'm Comrades kills me. But anyway, that emotional attachment just pulls you through, because you realize again, no matter what you do, your discomfort and your pain is temporary, and the organization you're doing it for, theirs is ongoing 24/7, be it an orphanage or be it an SPCA. So I think that's so important. The minute people start not getting bored with it, because we don't get bored with it, but if you start feeling like you're losing a bit of interest, find a different purpose to continue. And that charity thing and that selflessness changes easily, because then you start doing things for different reasons, and the result is not just to have a medal around your neck. The result is the gratitude and that you might receive from others privately or in any way, but knowing that you can make a difference out there, and we all can, and that is quite encouraging to me. And I would say, go ahead, find something else, find the emotional attachment, and make a difference in people or animals' lives.
And Howard, one of my favorite comments is, we stand on the shoulders of people that have come before us, and we now need to be shoulders for the next generation, whether it be the next dog that you're supporting or the next generation, whichever NGO you support, to stand on our shoulders as the next level.
Absolutely.
Yoga and sport and a healthy lifestyle got you through of heroin and everything else? Why? How?
I mean, there's benefits in the words of Essex is sound mind, sound body, right? We discipline the body, and through disciplining the body, we discipline the mind. It's one of the yogic philosophies. One one of the philosophies in the 12-step recovery program I'm in. You know, we show up, we do the thing, and as a result, the mind follows, you know, even if it's begrudgingly. You know, there's a lot of stuff where yoga and endurance sports sort of tie in so well. You know, the strength stuff that I need to constantly be doing to remain injury-free.
Yeah.
The mobility and flexibility work. I can see my body's tightened a lot since I started endurance sport. A lot of my injuries are from tight muscles. ITB that I got a month before Ironman, plantar fasciitis that I had last year, you know, as a result of weak calves and not stretching plantar fascia, which is in the sole of the foot. You know, so I need to be constantly doing the behind the scenes work, the strength and the stretching regularly. You know, the pranayama exercises or breathwork exercises that we learn in yoga helps me with, you know, the fear that comes up with open water swimming. You put your face in cold, dark water, you've got to focus on just lengthening that exhale breath, activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is a state of calm and relax. You know, when your heart rate's getting too high, you got to fall into breath to sort of help lower the heart rate down. You know, we learn, you know, discipline is something I was taught in yoga, something I'm taught in endurance sports. You know, you sit up and you show up no matter what. I'd rather sleep in today, but hey, it's track at 5:40 a.m. You know, there's so many different benefits. You know, when your mind starts to wander because still another 160 kilometers and the wind's killing me and I'm over life right now. Yeah. You know, to just sort of go into some of the yogic philosophies that I learned. You know, the stuff about we're in discomfort. Discomfort's not, it's neither good nor bad. It just is. Acceptance is key, you know. Highly recommend yoga for those who haven't ever tried it. But one thing I will say on that is to be very specific that sorry, that's my dog, that the instructor you're practicing with knows what they're talking about. Because my personal experience is that in yoga teacher trainings in Cape Town, anatomy is a very small part of the training. They focus more on the philosophy of it, which is quite worrying considering we're going there and you're guiding my body through stuff. So you better know what you're talking about. You know, ask the instructor, you know, what is your knowledge around anatomy? Do you understand what you're actually doing and not just putting me in pretty shapes? Yeah. You know, because as an athlete walking into a studio, most of us can't touch our toes. But now you're in a studio where everyone's putting their forehead to their shins and it's a little bit intimidating, right? So I think the trick is to find yoga studios and Pilates sort of studios and instructors that understand an athlete's body.
Definitely. Leanne, Max, David, Howard, like Nathima, like Raisa, like Rayana says, you guys are all inspirational. I can't disagree with him in any way or form. Thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for sharing your journey and your stories. It has changed the lives and will continue to change the lives of people, but purely by you existing and doing what you do, doing what you love. People are watching you without you realizing it and being inspired. So thank you. Thank you for making time to be here. Everybody else is watching, thank you. Thank you for those who have cast their comments. We'll be back next week for another episode of Talk at 8. Have a good week and keep active. Thank you, everybody. Ciao for now.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.